just going to show you a few different things you can do with clay right from day one up to something on there possibly. So clay, you've got different types of clay. You start off with sort of clay that's made out of, which is earthenware. It's quite fragile as far as you're concerned. Then you can get stoneware, which is this clay, which has got a lot of grit in it. It's fired to a much higher temperature than these are. This would be fired up to 1280 degrees centigrade or more, 1300 degrees centigrade. Very strong, but it is a devil to use on the wheel because there's so much grit in it. If you've got dirty hands, great. It'll clean your hands, take the skin off, smooth as babies. So, what you can do with clay, basically, piece of clay. Anyone want a piece of clay? And we make a pot. Any offers?
Anybody want to be a guinea pig?
No.
Yeah, I'll take a piece. Yeah.
Catch.
Oh my goodness.
Right, all you're going to do,
Sorry.
pretty basic. All we're going to do, push our thumbs in. It's called a pinch pot. Very, very old-fashioned method of doing it, probably thousands of years old, but very, very quick. Before you know it, you've got a bowl.
We've done that before, haven't we?
Sometimes, if you're good, you can make really, really, really nice pots with this. Very symmetrical. It just depends. Now see what's happening with this clay. It doesn't hold together very well, so it's cracking. There's bowl. So that's been done from time in forever. So once that's dry, it's got to go into a fire. You probably just chuck it on the bonfire in the garden and you've got some sort of usable vessel. Flower pot even. Make a hole in the bottom. There you go. Flower pot. Next, you can make a coil pot. So, what? Well, he's done a better one than me. So coil pots is also a very old method of making pots. This is some very good clay for doing it.
Nick's made a puppet head, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I'm going to use some different clay.
So what's the what's the good thing about the grit then?
Makes it stronger and it's more. Oh, it can be used for a lot of more industrial uses because it's fired at a higher temperature and it's more resilient to. Oh, there's me wire. Cheese wire.
Assassin's favourite.
Yeah, garroting stuff. Now, as you see, when I've cut through this, it's a lot smoother. So, what I'm going to do, break it into smaller bits, roll it into sausages. You make these as thick as you like because at the end of the day you can always carve it down smaller. So you're going to make a base. There's the base of my pot. And I'm going to wind this around it and gradually work my way up. When I join these, I'm going to squeeze the clay together smooth it out so it makes a nice joint that's not going to fall apart when it goes in the kiln. So you can hire you can be as rough as you like as you go, but then I won't take it much higher. Right, so I'm just going to smooth out all the edges together, all the way around. Right, something like a pot now. I'll do the same inside, keep smoothing it. Then I can get some sort of thing like this, and I can very therapeutic this is. So we're getting something that's looking a bit more sensible now. Right, so there we've got a pot, sort of.
Rustic.
So now, so you don't do it in 5 minutes. You can do it over quite a long time, and as it dries and gets slightly harder, you can burnish it, which is basically rubbing stone or something. This is my favourite little stone, little angel. You can rub the clay like this as it dries, and you see it gets shinier and softer. What it's doing is pushing all the granules into the clay and bringing all the softer, smoother stuff to the surface. So you can actually, you do that. It's quite a skillful job and some people are very, very good at it, aren't they? So once you've got your pot like that, if it's a bit too thick, you then get tools to carve it down a bit thinner. So what you can do with these, gradually cut off the clay, and if you want, just to make patterns on it, get all different shapes of these carving utensils, so you can just carve away to your heart's delight. Of course, clay will take on the shape of anything that it's pushed up against, so I've got a little collection of these wooden press things which you can buy in Hobbycraft. Push them into the clay, you get some pretty nice patterns. It's probably my favourite one, nice little one like that. So we're getting somewhere near something that's decorative now, and I've got one here with a cockerel on it, which I've got a smooth surface for it. Let's get a smooth surface. So there we are, little cockerel. So we've got a bowl there. So next method of making, so if I wanted to go on and on and on, smoothing that out from the inside.
So how long will it normally take to smooth out one of those pots if you just want a smooth pot?
Well, if you get fed up with it, then you've got to go in for your tea. And Mrs. is calling in your dinner's ready. Just put a damp cloth over it, leave it until tomorrow, go out again.
So it won't air dry, it needs to be fired.
No, you've got to dry it in the air first
Right.
until it is pretty dry.
Going out the
There's
shade.
one that's been dried. No, let's get that off that way. This one hasn't been fired yet. I'll just show you the difference. Right.
So could that be put in the
Listen,
airing-
listen carefully.
Well, then. Oh, okay.
If I hit that too hard, that's going to fall apart. That's been fired.
So is that first one just left in a warm, dry place then?
Anywhere, yeah,
The airing
drying
cupboard,
cupboard, airing cupboard. Now this, because it's very brittle, as I brought it in here, it's snapped off a little corner there. Let's see, I can chip away with my nail. But what if I want to rescue that pot? I could probably damp it down. Shall I do it now?
Yeah.
Yeah, come on, why not?
So when I was at school, we used to have to get the clay, throw it on the disc a few times to get the air out. Do you still have to do that now?
Oh yeah,
Right.
yeah. So I didn't do that, did I? But never mind.
Take out your anger on it.
Yeah. so it doesn't. That
Right.
when you get that, it
I'll
could
show
still
you
be
how
air
to do
bubbles.
that.
Right.
That one's going to be done in it. Right, lump of clay straight out of the bag. What I've got to do with that is knead it. And what I do, our clay to check, so gradually I'm rolling it over and over. It should gradually get the air bubbles out of it.
Good workout as well, isn't it?
It does when you get a sort of 5 kilo lump of clay. Cut it with a cheese wire to see if there's any air in it. No air in that. So when I do that, instead of putting it back where it came from, I will twist that 90 degrees and slap it back down again.
Ah, okay.
Smooth the edges down. Roll it round, and I'll cut it a different way. Smooth all that together. If you get an air bubble in that, because I haven't rolled it properly, put it in the kiln. That air bubble will expand with the heat, and it'll just blow the pot to pieces. That's if you're lucky. If you're unlucky, the bits of pot will ruin the elements in the oven, so you are best advised to get rid of all the air bubbles in the clay before you fire it.
And if
And that's pretty good.
if you've made that pot and then you go, oh no, there's an air bubble, is there something you can do?
Yeah, throw it in the bin.
Oh right.
Oh, can't you sort of repair it with with fresh clay and then refire it or something?
No,
Oh.
no. Once it's fired, that's it. Gets to a point, probably somewhere about, I don't know what the temperature is, about 800 degrees. That's it. That's the point of no return. That's
Oh,
it.
so can you refire a pot though?
Yeah.
Can you fire
Yeah.
it more than once?
Oh yeah. So once that's fired, so that's fired now.
Yeah.
Now that's got to be glazed. So you're going to put a liquid glaze over it, which is basically a sort of powdered glass in a liquid with various extra sort of additives in it to give it the colour, and that's going to go back in the kiln and fire at depends on what temperature the glaze is. So I've probably got enough stuff here to kill a lot of you. No, I'm not joking. You wear a mask when you're putting this stuff. Titanium dioxide, not very good for your health. Tin oxide. So all these things will give different colours to the finished product. Vanadium pentoxide. Anyone know what that is?
Guaranteed to kill a small village.
Not nice. Then you've got basic things like red iron oxide, copper oxide, which copper will give you, depending on the temperatures, it can more copper oxide there. You get different temperatures in the firing process will give you different colours. So what you think is going to come out in a nice coppery colour might not come out. So that's a lot of copper in that. So I'll just show you. So that lump of clay now is available to do stuff with, I guess, because I've done it a couple of times, so that seems like right. Another thing to do. This is porcelain clay. Nasty stuff because it's got a mind of its own and it's difficult to work with, but I'm going to try. So what I've done, I rolled this out before I came here and dried it out, so it's what they call leather hard. It's like a bit of leather. So I've cut it out to some shapes, roughly to I'm going to make a little box like that. So I've cut out the foot shapes. So what I'm going to do, get a pointy thing, pointy thing. Right. So to join the clay up, you don't just get two pieces of clay and stick them together normally. When you get it leather hard, so this clay is very soft. I could join that together without any hassle. I couldn't do that with that because it's too dry. I could put that together. No, it's just going to fall to pieces. So what I've got to do is I'm going to scratch the edges of this like that, score it along on all the pieces I've got here. Can everyone see this? And then I've got mixed up some of the clay to make a slurry. So with a brush here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to paint this on to that little crisscross hatching I've done, which is going to go into those cracks, and it's going to join on with this piece, which is also so get some of that, splodge it all over there, on there. Hey ho. Oh, I've got to do the upright bits as well, haven't I?
Is this slurry made from dry clay and water, or
No, just bits and pieces that I cut off of it earlier.
right?
Just get some of that, just mix it up with a bit of water and keep it a bit sloppy like that. So all the edges that are going to join together all got a little bit of hatching on them. So this should all hold together, so ta-da. I've got a little vessel. So what I'm going to do now is just what you can do is get some.
Move your sculpture out of the way so you can get a better view.
Right.
That's much appreciated. There you go. Well, she was a sculpture.
Voila.
And this one in the front.
Devil.
Pot as well.
Gonna put that down here.
Get rid of all of it. I'll show you what they are.
Thank
Right.
you.
So,
Now we can
Right.
see what you're doing. Thank you.
right. Now, what I can do, because they are, I've got to smooth these out. So smooth those out. Inside, what I usually do is cut out some small slivers of clay and put it up in the corners. Right, so now I've sort of got a so I'll smooth that all out inside, make sure it all sticks together nicely.
Are you strengthening the join now between?
It will, yeah, it will do. It just belt and braces really doing that. A little bit of water on it. Alright. Right, you got the gist of it, yeah? So that's called a slab pot. Now, that thing there was made exactly the same way. All cut out, geometrically perfect, I think. Got the angles right, stuck them all together, and it stayed together. Now I've got
I
that.
take it you can't actually make a complete box because then you're trapping the air inside it, which would then expand.
Boom.
Yeah, right.
So
Also,
obviously,
when you fire it, the air would expand. And
yeah. So I've got the holes in it anyway for this
Yeah.
piece of
Okay.
curtain rail I've got through there. So just, but
And
so
is that made of the porcelain as well? That one?
no, that's just ordinary earthenware. That's nothing. So this here hasn't fallen apart, has it? Not quite. Nearly. So there we got a pot, and I don't like things too symmetrical, so what I would probably do with that now, I would cut this maybe. I might leave that big piece there, I quite like that. That's not holding together very well there. So that's what I did with one of those little press moulds on the end of that. But then you can do anything else with it. So there's a slab pot. So this thing here I picked up for a couple of quid in, I don't know whether it's Dunelm or something, and I just liked it simply because someone's put a bit of design into that. They've got a little circle here, which they've done with, I don't know what they put in there. Put a little bit of string in there, made a little circle. But they basically made that the same way as I made this. There's two pieces of clay that have just been formed around something and then joined together, and I just love it.
And so those grooves that go around the edge, has that been done by a tool?
I think they just pulled a fork across it because it's very probably fine. See, that follows around there. Yeah. Anyway, that's what a slab pot's like. So when you've got a flat piece of clay, as I say, it takes on any shape or form that you can find. Just off the seashore, press the clay into it, fired it, glazed it, stuck it on a piece of wood, put a base on it, done. Oh, that's that one. So all the little pieces of clay that are left over will get recycled, but unfortunately it's getting a little bit contaminated. So that's the white clay, the porcelain. And trouble with porcelain, put it in here, it's very difficult to work with. When it dries out, it cracks like that, and it's very difficult to work with.
Can that be sort of reconstituted and
Yeah,
wet
yeah.
and damped up and
Yeah, you can do that, but see, that is quite sort of rubbery, if you like, but it fires at a very high temperature and is very strong, and you can get it very, very thin, and you shine the light will actually shine through porcelain.
so it's a bit like alabaster, is it?
Nah, alabaster's something else, isn't it? It's I don't quite know what it's more stone, isn't it?
It is, but it's very, very delicate.
But this, you start playing around with it too much and it's disaster. So anyone that makes things with porcelain, hats off to them, because it's beautiful when it's done properly, but you can work it. Look, it's cracking, which is nasty, but very, very nice. So that's that. Right, I'm not going to do any more with that. That's dead now. That comes off there.
For you, a new skill.
So that is quite usable for another day, but someone's going to have to work hard to get rid of all the air bubbles in that one.
Don't take your eye off that, because Nick will use it for
That little thing, what are we going to do with that? We're not going to keep it, are we? Right, so this stuff here, I'll show you. Well, let's go on to this one. This one hasn't been fired yet. So if I wet this down, it could go soggy and it would be like that ball within half an hour, I should think. So if I wet this down now, it's going to soak up the water pretty quick.
Could you use like a spray and spray?
Yes,
it like
that would
spray?
be a damn good idea. If I bought my spray, I would have done that. But right, so what I'm going to attempt to do, and it's probably all fall apart and all go wrong, but you can see the texture of this clay when it's all the grit's coming out of it. So what I could actually work that round to, I might do it on the wheel. Let's see if I can mess it up on the wheel.
So when a piece of clay is air dried, so it's dry because of the air, like that one has, you can bring it back to being clay again.
Yep,
Right.
yeah, that's what's going to happen right now. It probably, if I'm unlucky, it's just going to flop and I'll be a bit embarrassed about that. Right. Put this right, I'm going to try and stick this onto there. I'll try and carve off that lump there. I haven't got much hope in doing it, but these they call these things bats that are here. They are on this particular wheel. It's got little holes here, and there's two little pegs on the head. Let's take it off. On here, there's two little pegs that these fit onto, and the I'll find the damn things now. They've got little rubber inserts in here, so it fits on there nice now. Let's see if that's centre. Probably not. A bit wobbly, isn't it? Can't mess around. I haven't got time. So I'm going to get a little carving tool. Got all shapes and sizes of tools. There's another thing for patting things. Bit like a spoon you get. Very nice little curve on it for doing all this sort of thing. But so what we're going to do?
So to get that sort of delicate curve, you used a tool. You didn't use your hands, like you used a curved thing, and that sort of scraped away the clay. Was that right?
Yeah. So somewhere I'm going to try. I might need more water on this because it's just.
Oh yes, can you move the lights in front?
That way. Nearly gone. So what I could do with this pot now, well, I got spray would be ideal, but I can use these they're all coming off in got one like that, which I can get right in that little curve there. If I turn it sideways and get a sharper angle on it, but what you can do at this stage is get different sorts of tools which a nice sharp angle there. I could put some little grooves in it all the way around here, which we do a couple of them, shall we? As you see, can everyone see that? You get some patterns in there. I've nearly got that bit out of the top there, but I think I'm going to get that out. You might see the whole top all collapse in now, which would be fun, wouldn't it? No,
I can give that to my mum for a birthday.
be a job.
Tell her I made it.
I could put my mum in there.
That's right. Naughty birthday, that would be quite handy, yeah.
Sorry, that wasn't very good taste, was it? Sorry, Mum. You see, this is not very well centered.
I guess you would normally sort of do it from scratch. You'd have a big lump of clay, spin it, and that would obviously then you'd have the centrifugal force would allow it to be perfectly rounded, wouldn't it?
Of course
And
it will,
centred.
yeah. There's one I made earlier there, which is about 3/4 of an inch thick or 18mm to you. So there we go. I've got rid of the kink on the top of it now. I've got a couple of curves in it.
Yeah.
Looking half reasonable. That can go in the kiln. It's got my name stamped on the side of it.
Yeah.
The underneath's been turned that upside down, and I've cut out the bottom to give a nice little foot ring on it.
So how much does one of these turn whatever they call turntables cost?
This I think is round about £1,000. It's Japanese one, a Shimpo. I think it's about 1/4 of a horsepower, no, 1/3 of a horsepower. I'm not too sure, but it suits me. It's plenty big enough. I could throw a lump of clay twice that big, so it's got quite a lot of oomph in it. You'd have a job stalling it. Right, I threw that one earlier, and it's pretty meaty, deliberately, because I wanted to show you how to do the turning one. Whee!
Is there any particular technique for centralising it? Do you have, is there
Yeah.
a jig you can use or something?
Yeah, you need your wrist firm there. You use basically this hand for pushing it over.
Oh right, so it's you haven't got like a jig that you use to
You probably could if
just thinking of
I'm not
modifications.
that brilliant on centering things, but I tend to make wobbly pots. But, never mind.
I suppose you'd want to kind of put the clay on, make the pot, finish it all in one go, and not sort of take it off and put it back on again.
Oh no, I put it on, take them off, put them on. Right. What I'm going to do, I'm going to turn that down now. I'm going to cut masses off of it. This is supposed to be leather hard now, but it's not quite. Still very wet. So what I'm going to do, I don't know if you can see, it's turning off. I'll do it with a bigger one. It's easier. So I'm getting nice curvy bits of clay off of there. Right out of centre, but not to worry. So what I like doing when I've got it like this is playing around with it. Whee!
Your mum's going to be annoyed now.
No, that's not, no, that's her.
Oh, that
This-
one there. Oh, of course.
This is for me dad. That's not going on there very well. What's that? It's not sticking on there very well at all. What's that? Right, desperate measures. These are called kidneys simply because they perhaps kidney shaped. Got a rubber one here which is nice for getting into curves. This is my favourite one. It's getting a little bit worn and rusty now, but it's nice for smoothing things down. Not playing is it? That's got it. Normally I've got, that's my seat that's got the wheels, so I'm usually sort of almost sat on the ground down here, leaning over. This is a little bit alien to me, standing up.
Oh, would you sit on a stool normally, do you? Just you sit on a stool or something, do you? Or you sat down on the chair?
I sat down on that box there with wheels on it.
Oh,
That's that is the thing. So usually I would have the kiln, the wheel down at that level. So
Oh,
I'm
I
down
see,
here with my
right.
elbows on my knees, but
yeah,
being up here, it's all a bit odd. Never mind. It's good fun. So I've got these things are tiling things. They're quite useful. Putting the grout on the walls before sticking tiles on. So they do make nice patterns in the clay if that's what you want. As you can see, you can. I've got a metal kidney. It's quite flexible. With the teeth on it, it's quite good for getting the quite a lot of clay off at once.
So this way you can create textures as well as even out the shape.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I
So-
was thinking. Like if you had a jig, then you could have it in a fixed position because obviously holding it, there could be human error, couldn't there? But if you had it in a little jig, that
yeah,
was in
and
place,
industrially, and
yeah,
it-
then you
they
got
that's what they have. They have a little.
perfect, almost like a router head.
If anyone wants to have a go at cutting this down, they're quite welcome.
I don't break it.
But then if you do that, you kind of take the skill out of it, though, don't you? Because the artistry.
Listen,
The artistry, yeah.
no, I'd get all the pleasure out of actually remodeling the device and modifying it. So I get,
making pots.
yeah,
So-
I don't want the pleasure from that side.
So that's been that was you made that kind of the shape from coiling it first, is that right?
And I threw this earlier today.
Right. So
It's
then,
done.
so then you're just going to put your
I did it
thumbs
very
in.
very thick, so I could show you how to chop all this stuff off of it.
Getting
There's-
the middle bit, the stuff out of the middle. That.
That's all come upwards. You pull in
Oh
the
right, right.
clay up. So I'm slowly changing the shape of this bottle, or whatever you like to call it.
So earlier you were telling me about like a air drying clay that you could use at home.
Right, in Hobbycraft they sell 1 kilo blocks of air drying clay.
Yeah, I've got some. Yeah.
Some, it's all right. It's I'm told that it's made basically from cornstarch, which is strange, but you can dry that in a couple of days, then put it in the oven. I don't know what temperature you do it, just put it just dry it by in the air. Then you can buy these glazes to paint on it. Porcelain 150. That is the temperature, 150 degrees centigrade. In the oven on that, you then got a vessel or if you're a mug or whatever that's dishwasher proof, microwave proof, and not
And
cheap,
it's
but
okay in your domestic oven. It's not going to make your bread smell funny or something, or taste funny, is it? You couldn't open it.
no, hope not. But they're not cheap. I don't know how much these pots are. I think they're around about £10 or something. But then you can get little tubes of different colours and very very small points, and you can do writing on them, which is, and you can get all sorts of lovely things. You've got gold and
What kind of? So is that paint or is it what kind of?
well, I don't know what they make out of it. Yeah, oh, I can't read that, too small. It's water based, so you can mix all these together,
So it's probably
You can-
acrylic.
make any colour you like. That's something else. That's
And the air drying clay, you can do that on a turntable as well, can you? I don't know.
yeah, it's put water with it. It tends to go. It's a slimy texture. It's horrible stuff. You can make something similar called paper clay. So if you've got some of this softer clay that's here, which is down in the box now, mix that with toilet roll, shredded toilet roll, or any paper. Mix it all up, leave it overnight. Keep sort of mixing it all together. You can then do anything that I'm doing with it, and when it's fired, all the paper fibres burn out, and you're left with a very light pot, which is it's quite good. So this,
I've got some of the air dried stuff, a big block of it. I used some, and then I sealed it in a like one of those Ziploc bags. But it feels quite firm. I need to check to see if it's still viable because it might have dried out. I don't know.
well, if it goes like this, that's still viable. After, you've got to soak that for some time.
I'll have a look and see if it's still usable.
I bought this as a sample, so I forgot all about it. So I've got to reconstitute that.
Is it possible to use clay that you dig out of the garden?
Right, you can. That's exactly what I've done with this. I was working down in Farnham, and Farnham has got very good pottery down there, still going. They used to have a lot of kilns down there. It just happened to be that the site I was working on was on the actual site of a kiln. And the kiln was there to make most of the bricks that have been used in Surrey over the last couple of 100 years. So that is straight out of the ground down at Farnham. Now, I haven't actually used it yet, but that would make bricks for houses for sure. So if I wanted to use this now to actually make something like this, I would get it a bit wetter than this, very, well, just almost like this here. And I've got some different grade sieves that I can put this through, because I'm sure as eggs are eggs, I'd find flipping stones and things in this. Might not, might be good, but yeah, I could actually use that. There's no reason why I couldn't use that to make something. I could use it on there now if you like. But so yeah, the stuff you find in your garden is probably, yeah, it would have been used years ago. That's Farnham clay, which hasn't been fired, but that has dried out like that. That is a little bag of ball clay. I don't know if you've heard of ball clay, but if you go down into Dorset, not a million miles from Swanage, there is a mine where this used to be mined for a few 100 years, and there's a little railway down there, and you can actually go down in the mine where they dig this stuff out, which is, you don't use it on its own, but it will be mixed with other clays to give it a bit of body. It's yeah, it's an interesting place to go. So, do you want to know anything else?
So is that the conclusion?
Well, you can, any questions, or anyone wants to have a go at anything here?
Just a quick question. You mentioned about the glazes. When you paint the glaze on or apply it, are you not seeing it as the colour it's going to be when it's finished?
No, it changes colour in the kiln. There's yeah, these oxides will change colour depending on the temperature. I like, you know, the chrome and the copper oxide. You mix them together and you can get different colours come out of them. But the fact that this is, well, what is this? Red iron oxide. Well, basically it's rust. So that possibly would give you a brown colour. Because that's yellow doesn't mean that it's going to come out yellow when it's fired. The heat will change the temperatures.
And have you been doing this long enough that you go, oh, I know what colour this is going to be, or is there a sense of?
You can buy a million different glazes commercially. Place called Blue Matchbox, they do them. I've just ordered some from a company called Glost, which is a volcanic glaze, which I haven't tried yet, but it all bubbles up at a certain temperature and gives a very rough texture. But yeah, I knew what was going to happen with this. I knew I was going to get a lot of copper coming out from that, but that has been gone into a kiln, a gas-fired kiln, been taken out with a pair of tongs at 1,000 degrees and plunged into a bucket of water, which is quite hairy because it's very difficult. If that was fired the same way as that, and came out of a kiln and I put that in to a bucket of water, the water would go into here and quite possibly turn to steam instantly and blow it all apart. So it's very difficult to put that into a bucket. Or alternatively, instead of putting in a bucket of water, you can put it into a bucket of sawdust, and that way it will oxidise and form these lovely blue colours and get this white crackle glaze, which a lot of people like. So that was done the same method. That was thrown.